Oh, what happened?
And that's not called
Oh, very good. Oh, very
social
good.
distancing.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know why I couldn't connect for my computer. What did you do? What's it? Okay. Thank you very much.
Next, we'll be having iPlayer.
Good evening, everybody. We've been very busy with Zoom and trying to set it up.
Have you been outside clapping?
Oh, I forgot. Have you been
Did you
outside?
clap outside?
Time you upside
Quickly
down.
go. You can still be Yotze. I clapped in front of Zoom.
Clap for the Zoom. People got massive balls of challenge.
I've decided the irony is that everyone's clapping outside for the NHS workers. They should be clapping for us. We're holding the world together.
Very good. Well said.
No?
So we can start clapping
Only,
now
only those who are
inside.
keeping the rules.
Yeah. I think we should
Oh,
clap
by learning
ourselves.
more. Let's see.
I think we should make a new one. Once a week for the people who are learning.
Not enough once a week. We need to do one every minute.
Every night. Have a
The
l'chaim.
Medrash says, "Kol hadeshama tahallel kol." And the neshima v'neshima, that after every breath you take, you're supposed to thank Hashem once again for being able to breathe in air. So that's about 20 times a minute. You have to stop what you're doing and say to Hashem, thank you for the air that you breathe. You should do the same for those who are learning. Right. This year has been dedicated by Tolly, Leilu Nishmas, his grandfather, Chaim Hillel Monas ben Reizon. Chaim Hillel Monas ben Reizon. This year should be Leilu Nishmas. I hope everybody's okay. What's the word for it? I hope you've all got challenge of some sort. Right. Thanks. We're now on Nunhei Omud Beis. We've got quite a lot to do. I'd like to finish the perg today. There's going to be no shiur on Friday. Normally there will be. But because it's a new perg, and I always like at the beginning of the perg to set out the basic foundation of the perg, and most people can't manage on Friday. So there'll be no shiur this Friday. But we'd like to arrange something for future. We'll see. We're up to Nunhei Omud Beis. And from now to the rest of the perg, is discussing one thing. It's different people, great tzaddikim, that the Torah seems to harshly criticize them, but really they are not. Really, they're more justified, and it tells us that what they did wasn't so bad. We're up to the words ketanoi, which is about 20 lines from the bottom on Nunhei Omud Beis, and it's discussing a machlokas tanoim. Did Reuven, the son of Yaakov Avinu, did he do a real avera or not? At the time of when his mother, Rachel, when Rachel was nifter, not his mother, when Rachel was nifter, Yaakov moved his bed from Rachel to Bilhah. Reuven moved it from Rachel's out into Leah's tent. Now the more next brisa is a list of tanoim, all darshaning one word. The Torah says pachaz kamayim al toisa. The simple translation of pachaz is that you were hasty, you were rushing. And it's a tremendous lesson that the amount of things a person can do wrong when he's hasty is terrible. Like Reuven lost everything for a moment of hastiness. But what the Tanoim do is they all dash in the word pachaz, not as the simple translation as hastiness, but rather each one as a different set of Roshei Tevas. Pachaz pei, ches zayin. So what's like this? Get Tanoim. Pachaz kamayim al toisa. Rabbi Lezer Omer, Pazto, you rushed, Chavto, that's the Pachas, the Ches, you did an Avera, Zalto, you mezalzel in your father's bed. Rabbi Shoimer, Posato aladas, you stepped over mitzvahs, Chotoso, you have sinned, Zoniso, you have done znus, that's Pachas. These two Tanoim hold that Reuven did a terrible Avera. The next two hold not like that. Pilalto, you davened, Chalto, you made yourself not well in davening to Hashem to do tshuva. Zochot filoscha, and your tefillah shone, meaning that your tefillah was accepted. We still need to hear what Blez Moedoy says. Read it backwards. You were scared. Hirtato, you were careful. Pochochoto mimcho, and the avera flew away from you. So we see, you remember the avera, you made yourself not well. Made yourself really not well. You were careful not to do an avera. So the word pachas can be read either Rosh Hashanah that Reuven did an avera, or pachas can be read as Reuven did not do an avera. It's machlokes tanoim, did Reuven really do an avera or not? Says it about Reuven, Bnei Eli, Bnei Shmuel, David Ushleimo, Yeshua Simon.
They all hold that Reuven did an avera, so some hold that he did tshuva afterwards, no?
That's not how the Gemara is explained. That's not how Rashi explains. No, there's a shadow of bichlal. Was the word pachas meaning an expression of fear of avera, that he was careful not to, or pachas that he did in avera? If you look at the drashas, so what says Reuven b'nei Eli b'nei Shmuel Dov L'Shlema v'Yeshua Simon. This is a simon for all the people going to discuss. Reuven we just discussed. In fact, some people put the simon a bit earlier because they say it's usually the simon in the beginning, not in the middle. Then b'nei Eli. B'nei Eli is in the beginning of Shmuel. That what happened was there was a great leader called Eli, and he had sons called Chofni and Pinchas, which the Torah tells us, the Navi tells us terrible things about them. And the Mor is now going to say they weren't really so bad. Bnei Shmuel is the sons of Shmuel. Ditto, the same story. David and Shlomo of Yeshio. Yeshio was one of the kings of Malchei Beis David, a very, very big tzaddik. And the more goes. Somebody says that the Eli sinned in making a mistake. Now, the Torah, whenever the Torah mentions two people together in the same breath, the Torah wants you to understand that they have a certain similarity. Now, we will see that Pinchas was really not such a wicked person. And since Chofni and Pinchas are mentioned together, we say just like Pinchas wasn't a Rosh, neither was Chofni. Pinchas did not do an avera. Makish Chofni le Pinchas. Compare Chofni to Pinchas. Ma Pinchas leichota af Chofni leichota. Oh, lemani mekama sheishkenu sanoshim. The pasuk says about the sons of Eli that they would have relations with all the women that would come to the Beis Hamikdash to bring the korbanos, which is a terrible avera. These women were married. So what does the pasuk mean? As if they had relations with them. Meaning like this. When a woman has a baby, then you have to bring a korban. How many birds do you bring as a korban if a woman has a baby? Two. Very good. So you can all work out now how many korbanos you have to bring when the Beis Hamikdash gets built. Now what happened was, Chofni and Pinchas, when somebody would bring a korban which had a very big amount of meat, they would do it earlier than somebody else, where there was a much smaller portion for the Kohanim to get, right? So, the pasuk therefore says, by them doing it in this order, by giving themselves the right to change the order of the korbanos, so women who came from a faraway place to bring their korbanos after having a baby, would then be delayed a night or maybe 2 nights till they got back home. And those nights that they could have been with their husbands, they were not with their husbands. So since there's an element over here of distracting wives from their husbands, the Torah calls it that they actually had relations with these women who were married. This is a very important message. Again, Michtam Elio, he talks about this a very, very lot. A very good example would be music. I'm not musical. And at all. And I remember I was once with a friend of mine who was particularly musical, and we were at a chasna. He said, oh, that note was no good. I had absolutely no idea what he was talking about. For me, it sounded all exactly the same. But somebody who's got a big chush for things, he can notice the smallest things. Some people have a very, very sensitive palate, and they paid a lot of money to taste wine. Some have a very sensitive palate, ability to hear music, and then they can tell if there's one note right or wrong. Different people have different sensitivities. The Torah has tremendous sensitivity to the smallest thing that a person can do wrong. Ad kadei kach, that the Torah says that if you embarrass somebody, it's like killing somebody. Now, as a person, you go out in the street and you say to somebody, how many year prison sentence you would give to somebody who embarrasses somebody else, to look at you as if you're strange. They understand murder as you go out, kill somebody, but if you actually embarrass them, it's not. The Torah has got much, much higher sensitivity. The greater sensitivity a person has, obviously the greater he is. If a person's got no sensitivity to music, it's a chison. He doesn't have that skill of music. Somebody who's got no sensitivity to ruchnius, is lacking ruchnius. The Torah has a heightened sensitivity. The sons of Eli, on some tiny level, were distracting wives from husbands. Right, that the Torah sees it as a terrible blemish. We might say, oh, not so bad. And it's a very important message. What a person who's got a good chush for ruchnius would see somebody else doing, it makes a big difference who the person is. Now, the Gemara says, Gufa. Omar Rav Pinchas leichata. Pinchas didn't do that. Pinchas was one of the sons of Eli, and Pinchas didn't do anything wrong. Why? Shenema. Pasuk in Yomi, and Shmuel, tells us the yichus of V'achi. V'achi ben Achitov, Achi Ikavod, there was a brother of Ikavod, ben Pinchas ben Eli HaKohen Hashem V'Kohen. If a person Chas V'Shalom does an Aveira, then what happens is he suffers that he will not be zeicher, that the children who are righteous are then named after him. Meaning, whenever we say, Rashi says this in a number of places, whenever the term mentions somebody who's a tzaddik and mentions his father and his grandfather, we know that he's a tzaddik ben tzaddik. Why? Because otherwise the term will mention his father with him. Because the term mentioning the father with is a sign that the father also had what to do with this. So therefore, we hear the fact that the term mentions Achia with him, and Achia was a tzaddik, is a raya that Pinchas was a tzaddik as well. The passage that Yachlis Hashem le'isha sheyaseh. Hashem will cut off for those who do aveiros. And the Gemara explains, he won't have a son who's awake who answers the Talmidim. He won't have a son being a korban. So obviously Pinchas didn't do an aveira, otherwise the pasuk would not have mentioned his grandson as a tzaddik mentioned after him. Now the Gemara now is going to ask a list of questions, and the Gemara is going to answer the same way every time. Now what happens is there's a few psukim in the beginning of Shmuel describing the sons of Eli in the plural term as having sinned. Now he only had two sons, Chofni and Pinchas. If Pinchas didn't do an Aveira, how many sons did he have that did an Aveira? Only one. So the Torah should not mention it in the plural. It should be mentioned in the singular. So the Gemara asks from a list of psukim which all seem to mention it in the plural, and every time the Gemara answers that you have to read the word in the singular. You must remember the Navi has no vowels, so therefore you can always read the word either in the plural or the singular, depends how you read it. For the Gemara, which is plural, that they slept with other people's wives. Yishkovon, ksiv, one singular. Ksiv al b'ni, bonai, my sons, kiloi sons plural. And says, well, b'ni ksiv, my sons singular. Ksiv ma'avirim, they are ma'avi on the mitzvah. So ma'avodim of shua, ma'avi rom ksiv. Ksiv b'nei blial, sons who are wicked, sons there it's plural. And so Pinchas limchos lechofni v'lei micho, malakosu kilochoto. It's as if he sins. The fact that he could have protested, he did not, it's as if he sins. Top of Nun Vav Amud Aleph. Anybody who says the sons of Shmuel did that, the Torah makes a mistake. Why? His sons never followed in his ways. They never went in his ways. They never did any Averos. Meaning, that when the Pasuk says they didn't go in the way of Shmuel, we see from there they didn't do an Aveir. Had they done an Aveir, it wouldn't have said that they didn't go in his ways. They said they did an Aveir. If I say that somebody is not like Rabbi Eliashib, let's say I say the son of a very, very big tzaddik, not quite like his father. I don't mean he's done an Aveir. I mean that the father was very, very great, the son's not like that. But it doesn't mean they did an Aveir. Since the Pasuk says they were not like Shmuel, is right, they never did an Aveirs. Or that they went after money. So you see, the pasuk seems to say they did others, and Moshe also k'maiseh. Why? Shmuel would go from town to town judging people. They never did that. That means Shmuel would go from place to place to judge, which was a very, very big effort. Even nowadays, with cars and all the modern equipment, traveling can be extremely exhausting. Nevertheless, Shmuel went from place to place to judge. The sons of Shmuel, they stayed at home. By staying at home, it meant that everybody had to use their gaboim, their scribes, their shamoshim, their aidim, and everything else. And therefore, their workers got paid well. So that itself showed a small inclination to go after money. And in that way, they were not as great as their father. Gemara gives now a list of explanations. What does it mean that the sons of Shmuel went after money? They would ask for the money for the sons of Shmuel were Levim, and they would go to people and say, "Will you give me my salvation?" Because they were the leaders of the generation. What did everybody say? Yes, of course. Who would turn down the Levi who comes to his house, especially if he's the leader of the generation? So other Levim got less, and that's what it means that they went after money. Again, it's a subtle aveira in the sense that they never actually stole money, but it shows a desire for money. What they used to do is they used to make people do business on their behalf, and then those people would then come to them for a din Torah, and people would work extra hard for them. Let's say you're a Dan of Manchester, and you get people to sell. Let's say you've got packets of food, and you ask people to sell it for you. So the people in Manchester will work harder to sell it for you because they know that if ever they did in Torah, you'll pass them favorably for them. Because of that, that shows an inclination to go after money. They took more than they should have of my salvation. They took more than 10%. They took matonis kahuna bezoya, which Rashi got two pshatim. Either matonis kahuna, which was zoya lechaim keva, which if that's the case, it was a proper stealing because you're not allowed to take zoya lechaim keva. Alternatively, they took my salvation, and the halacha is that the owner is allowed to choose who to give my salvation to, but they chose it for themselves. Anybody who says David Melech did not makes a mistake. The Navi, when describing the story of David HaMelech, puts it in very, very, very harsh terms. That David HaMelech once saw the wife of Uriah Hittite, who was called, what was her name?
Bathsheba.
Very good, Bathsheba. And he saw how beautiful she was. He sent Uriah, he took her as a wife, and then he had the husband killed. And Chazal, the Torah says terrible thing, the Navi. But the Chazal put it to make the Avera much, much smaller. Rashi explains that every soldier went out to battle, would write a get to his wife, al tanai. If he doesn't come back, the get will not be chal. They'll be ready to divorce in case of he lost men. Tosfos says that the get was not al tanai. There's a very interesting Tosfos, the third Tosfos of the page, where Tosfos says it wasn't al tanai. It was a real get. That means every husband would divorce his wife either way. And Uriah Hittite deserved to die because he was murdered by Malchus. He rebelled against David HaMelech. So therefore, in fact, David HaMelech didn't do an Avera. Shenema, it says, and when man came to do bad, he intended to do bad, but he never actually did it. Omar Rav, Yehuda Steinberg was descended from David HaMelech. In fact, most of the leaders of Kaisar were descended from David HaMelech, from Gamliel and Hill, and all of them, and Ezra, all were all descended from David HaMelech. He would look to dash the schus of David HaMelech. Whenever the Torah says bad, they did bad. The Kanksiv Lasos, which is future tense. Bayas means to do bad. Lasos means to go eventually do bad. Shebikesh Lasos also that he never actually did it. Es Uriah Hittite kisba cherev. Well, the pasuk says he killed Uriah, which sounds like he killed him for nothing. You should have judged him in Sanhedrin, and you didn't. You judged him himself, which was wrong. It's a very important nekuda. Actually, in this week's parasha talks about it. The word kicha is used to refer to marriage. If a man marries his sister, is kiddushin chal? Does anybody know? No. If a person gives a ring to his sister, it's nothing. Kiddush is not chal. We darshan ishka yikach isha that only certain times is kiddushin chal. When there's no kiddushin, when it's a very close relative, there's no kiddushin chal at all. Since now an isha's ish also kiddushin is not chal. The fact that the Torah says lo kachta lechol isha, you took her as a wife, is a raya that kiddushin were chal. So obviously she was no longer married. This pasuk is referring to Yishai. Yishai, at the time, there was a war going on, and David HaMelech was at home, and David HaMelech's brothers were at battle. So Yishai sent a message with David to go to his brothers and bring them food and drink and money and gifts and things like that. And what happened was, when David HaMelech came to the battlefield, he heard Goliath screaming curses to Hashem, and he asked, why is nobody doing anything about it? And he said, they were all scared, and he went and killed Goliath. So the pasuk there says, the milk drinks, fruits, you bring to the minister. You should meet, you should greet with peace. What's the word awubosom? My awubosom. That you took between him, you should take home the getting. Yishai sent a message with David, go to your brothers and get from them a get for all their wives. מה חרב בני עמון יתננה שלוב, אף הוא יחיתי יתננה שלוב. מהייתם המועד במלכוס הווה. דומה ואדוני יואב ועבדי אדוני הפני עשו לכהנים, that Yachiti rebelled against David HaMelech and therefore he deserved to die. There's a machlokes to show him what exactly did Yachiti do that he deserved to die. Where was he murdered by Malchus? Tosfos talks about it here, definitely, the second to bottom Tosfos. And Tosfos says two Malachim, Rashi, Tosfos, and others, it's discussed in a number of places in Sanhedrin as well. The basic machlokes is as follows: either by calling Yoav, Adoni Yoav, in front of David HaMelech, my master Yoav. Yoav was the head of the army. David HaMelech was the king. Yachiti was a soldier. For a soldier addressing the king and saying, my master Yoav, in front of David HaMelech, that was a merida b'malchus. In front of somebody that is your master, your king, you don't refer to somebody else as a master. In front of Hashem, the only person you're supposed to praise is Hashem. You don't start praising other people. Similarly, in front of David HaMelech, you don't start talking about Yoav as your master. Alternatively, Tosfos says that David HaMelech actually instructed him to go home. And what happened was, Yachiti never went home. Yachiti spent the night outside for a variety of reasons. He said it's not right to go home at a time when the soldiers are in battle. But David HaMelech told him to go home. The fact that he did not listen to the instructions of David HaMelech made him a murderer of Malchus. You won't find him any averas. Oh, Rav, how could you say that Rav, how can you say that David HaMelech only did one Avera, we did another Avera? That David HaMelech accepted Lashon Ha. Kasha, it's a Kasha. That means one place it says that David HaMelech accepted Lashon Ha. Another place said the only Avera ever did was Yachiti, so it's a Kasha. Tosfos asks a third place that the Gemara tells us. I was wondering if you would jump up and ask it. I'm going a bit fast, maybe, for you to process, but we had once before that David HaMelech actually counted Klal Yisrael. So that's a third Avera. The Tosfos says that was a small Avera and it was done b'shogeg. It's not really considered an Avera. Now, David HaMelech accepted Lashon Ha. The very, very, very brief story was that David HaMelech had a son called Avshalom. Avshalom rebelled, and David HaMelech was forced to flee. There was somebody called Mephibosheth, who was the son of Yona's son, who was the son of Shaul HaMelech. And there's a big machlokes, but Pashtus, the Psukim is that Mephibosheth was on David HaMelech's side. That's the Pashtus. And really, he would have run away with David HaMelech. All the people that were loyal to David HaMelech, they ran away when David HaMelech had to flee, they joined him. So Mephibosheth would have run away, but he was lame, he was missing, he couldn't walk. So therefore, he didn't run away with David HaMelech. He had a servant called Siva, who was a Rasha, and he sent his servant to a message, and this servant went to David HaMelech and said to David HaMelech that my master Mephibosheth has joined the enemy of Avshalom. And David HaMelech believed him. So David HaMelech accepted Lashon Ha. There's a machlokes whether in fact Mephibosheth did actually join Avshalom, and if that's the case, it was accepted. He shouldn't have listened. Or whether Bechai was complete life, if that's the case, it would actually be Moitzi Shema. The more now discusses that story by quoting a few psukim and explaining that story. Gufa. Rav Omar Kibbutz David Lashon Ha, Dechsib Ayim David, Eifo, where's Mephibosheth? He stayed at home because he's happy with Avshalom. Since he saw that it was a lie, when he said the Lashon Ha about him, Why did he accept it? Says Gemara, how do we know that David Melech really accepted? And what happened was like this. When the servant, this evil servant Siva, who was the servant of Mephibosheth, came to David HaMelech, slandered his master by saying a lie, Pashtus, that my master has joined the enemy. What did David HaMelech say? That from now on, when I come back to be king, you will be entitled to all the property that Mephibosheth owns will now belong to you. I'll take it all from him and give it to you. So we see that he accepted Lashon Hara. He never did an aver. Why? He didn't shave his. He didn't clean his legs. He didn't shave his moustache. He didn't wash his clothes. Again, there's a machlokes of him. When Mephibosheth met David HaMelech for the very first time after the rebellion of Avshalom, he came to him very disheveled. Some say he came disheveled. Why? Because he was so upset for David HaMelech. And therefore he was disheveled because he felt that while David HaMelech was fleeing from his own son, it isn't right to adorn himself. Others say, on the contrary, he was disheveled because when he realized that David HaMelech was coming back, he was very disappointed. Why didn't you come with me, Mephibosheth? My servant tricked me. My servant said, I'll go to the king. Your servant is lame. What happened was, he said to the king, now I'm so happy that you're back, you should do whatever you want. What happened was, again, Siva came and told David HaMelech that Mephibosheth is rebelling against him, and he has joined Avshalom. What did David HaMelech say to Siva? You can have all the property, all the possessions. When David HaMelech came back, and Mephibosheth said to him, it's all a lie, and I indeed cared about you, what did David HaMelech say? That you and Siva should split it. Let him have it all. Now that you've come home in peace, I'm so happy that I don't care about my possessions. The main thing, you came home. Not on you I'm upset. That he was the son of Yonasan Meviv Baal. The son of Yonasan was not Meviv Baal, he was called Mephibosheth. And he made a fight with his master, either with HaKadosh Baruch or with David, not so Baal, not so. The one who fights against Hashem, the son of the one who fights against Hashem. Not so had Amon. Not so dichsiv ayom ashol ad ir Amalek vayovishol ad Amalek vayov vanocha. Umara moni al iske nachal, on the matter of the nachal. I'll say very briefly. Mashor points out this pasuk is said when Shaul HaMelech went to attack Amalek, and the pasuk says vayorev banochal, and they fought by the river. The pasuk pshat is they had a battle by the river side, the side of the river. The Mashal says the Gemara doesn't like the Pashup Pshat because we know that Amalek was on the mountain. In Pashup Shlach Lecha, when he describes the placement of Amalek was on the mountain. So why would they fight by a river when Amalek is on the mountain? So the Mashal says because of that the Gemara translates differently. But Nacham means they fought regarding the river. And over here the Gemara says a very interesting thing which is hard to digest. It says a very big kitza. Rashi says more ba'arichos. The Gemara in Sotah says even more ba'arichos. And that what happened was Hashem told Shaul HaMelech, kill the entire Amalek. What did Shaul HaMelech think? He went outside and he thought to himself, wait a second. There's a special halacha that we have by a nachal. Which halacha is eglo arufa. That if you find a dead body and you don't know who killed it, then you have to do an entire procedure to bring him to justify his death. Therefore, to atone for his death. So the Gemara says that when Shaul HaMelech said, if that's the case, that for such a big agmas, for one person dies, Kal v'chomer over here, we're not going to kill out an entire nation for no reason. So therefore, what happened was, Al Iske Nachal, Shlomo HaMelech, so to speak, argued with the mitzvah because of the Nachal of the Eglavufo. We're up to the first, the middle lines, the first middle line of Daf Vav Amud Beis. Omar Gidom Arav, V'shol Shema David Mefiboshes, Atu B'tzivot Echalkes Hasoda, Yotzoso Baskol V'omule Yochovim Yovam Yechalkes HaMelucha. They should divide the Melucha. One of the greatest tragedies that ever happened in Yiddish history is that when Shlomo HaMelech died, so who took over from Shlomo HaMelech? Who was the king after Shlomo? Rehoboam. I think sometimes I can't believe my children are still learning about King Henry and his 6 wives, when unfortunately these basic, far more important knowledge is somehow people don't. So after Shlomo came Rehoboam. Rehoboam was then there was somebody called Yerovam, and he split up from Rehoboam, right? So now the Gemara says over here that why did Hashem cause the Malchus Beis David to be split in half? Or Hashem promised him that he'll be king over Klal Yisrael? The answer is Midah Keneged Midah, that he told him to split the property. If you remember, I'll repeat the story. I always find the story. The Chofetz Chaim talks about it. Unbelievable. So the Melech was running away from his son Avshalom for his life. As a man comes to him and says to him, I'm come to be on your side, my master is against you. So the Melech says, okay, you can have all your master's property. When the Melech comes back, the master comes and says, no, I was always on your side. So what does the Melech say? Okay, so split the property. Hashem says, oh, you're splitting the property. See, obviously believing Lashon Hara, because if you didn't believe the Lashon Hara at all, you wouldn't have said split the property. You'd given it all back to the master. You'd given it all back to Mephibosheth. You say split the property, I'll say split your kingdom. So a tiny sin, a tiny thing that David HaMelech did, that he listened to Lashon Hara, and that had an effect that the entire kingdom was split. The more carries on. If David HaMelech wouldn't accept the Lashon Hara, Malchus Beis David would never been split. Nothing would have ever happened. We would still have the Beis Hamikdash standing had David HaMelech not accepted the Lashon Hara. Why? The cheshbon is very straightforward. Yerovam was a very, very big tzaddik. One of the greatest tragedies, the greatest tragedy of history was Yerovam. It was a huge Talmud Chacham. But when he split the kingdom from Rehoboam, he was worried. Does anybody know what was Yerovam worried about? Klal Yisrael will come to the Beis Hamikdash, which was in the portion of Yehuda and Binyamin, and they'll see that Rehoboam is king, and they'll realize I'm not the real king. So what did Yerovam do, the greatest Talmud Chacham of his generation? He set up 2 Avodah Zarahs and convinced the whole of Klal Yisrael to serve Avodah Zarah, in order that his coverage shouldn't be slighted when people go up to the Beis Hamikdash and see that the real king is Rehoboam, not Yerovam. So had the kingdom not been split, Yerovam wouldn't have done that. And why did the kingdom split? Because David HaMelech said, split the property. And why did David HaMelech say, split the property? Because he believed the words of Tziva and Nishuntav. So because David HaMelech listened to Lashon Hara, we're still in this mess. Omar Shobal Nachmeni, Omar B'Yonisan, Koloim Hashtei Rechota En Yalotoi. Anybody says Shlomo did an Aveh, made a mistake. Shneimar V'Levovo Yisholim Hashem Nekol Privat David Aviv. His heart was not complete with Hashem like David. And this is similar to the Gemara mentioned a few minutes ago. Now, if I want to say about somebody that has done an Aveira, I don't say about him that he's not like a Eliashib. That's not a good way of speaking. That doesn't mean he did anything wrong. It just means he's not on the same level. When I say that, I mean it's just not quite as great. By Shlomo HaMelech, it doesn't say he did an Aveira. It just says he wasn't like his father. He wasn't like his father, meaning he wasn't quite as great as David HaMelech. It doesn't mean that he did an Aveira. So Moses says like this. He wasn't like his father, but he never did an Aveiros. It says that when Shlomo HaMelech got old, his wives turned his heart away from Hashem. We have two psukim. One says that Shlomo wasn't quite as great as David, which is mashma that he never did any Aveiros. And we have another pasuk that says that Shlomo HaMelech turned away from Hashem. This is the answer. That when he was old, his wives tried to turn his heart away from Hashem, but they never succeeded. The pasuk doesn't say that they turned his heart. They said they made an effort to turn his heart. The wives tried to turn his heart away from Hashem, but they never managed. The pasuk says, the pasuk says that Shlomo HaMelech built a mizbeach for the Avodah Zarah of Moab, which is a terrible, terrible Aveira. And it's more Shabika Shtiv Yisrael Bana. He thought about building, but he never actually built it. Ben Wanamato Zivna Yisham Mizbeach LaHashem Shabika Shtiv Yisrael Bana. It says the future tense by Yeshua that he was going to build them. He's built to Mizbeach LaHashem. It's also there that he tried to build and didn't build. And the Bono, he actually built it. The Bono, he actually built it. Does anybody know which Rashi al discusses this Gemara at great length? Rashi al-Torah. Levi, you sometimes ask me about Rashi al-Torah. Oz Yoshim Moshe.
Sorry.
Oz Yoshim Moshe. That the Pasuk says Oz Yoshi. Yoshi is future tense. How can it be future tense? So we bring this Gemara that many times this Gemara discusses why is it all in the future tense. Elakid Gemara says a different shot. The Pasuk says that Yoshio went around and eradicated Avodah Zarah from Eretz Yisrael. Says the Gemara, did Osav come and not destroy them? But the Avodah Zarah Eretz Yisrael also Yishofet Bi'arom. And the Makish Hashanim Nachronim, Achronim Lo Yasu, V'Tol Ben Shvach, Afrishanim Lo Yasu, V'Tol Ben Gnai. There were many kings between Shlomo and Yoshio that were tzaddikim, primarily Yoshafat and Asa. Now, the Pasuk says that when Yoshio was king, he got rid of the Avodah Zarah which Shlomo Melech made. Now, obviously, many kings before existed, and they would have got rid of it. The answer is the Torah just means that just like Yoshio wanted to praise him, that even though he didn't eradicate, even though others eradicated Avodah Zarah, we say he's entitled to the praise. So too, by Shlomo Melech, the Torah tells him off as if he spoke, as if he built Mizbeach for Avodah Zarah, but not that he actually did. Says the Gemara, that he did bad. You see that Shlomo Melech did do this. That because he should have protested, he didn't protest, it's as if he did an Aveira. That means really Shlomo Melech didn't do any Aveiros, but he could have protested against his wives who did Aveiros, and that's why the Torah considers as if he did an Aveira. It would be better for this tzaddik Shlomo Melech that he should be a servant for Avodah Zarah, that he shouldn't say about him did bad in the eyes of Hashem. I just say a very quick mashal from Simchas Yisrael of Kelm. We talked about this Gemara in the Chochmah Musa, unbelievable, it's a very powerful mashal. More here says that the Pasuk says about Shlomo Melech did Averos. Did Shlomo Melech do Averos? No. But the fact that it says it about him is such a terrible thing that anything would have been better rather than that. Gives a very simple mashal. Imagine a little child comes home from kindergarten with a certificate of merit, or alternatively, a letter that has been naughty, right? How much effect does that have? Almost nothing, right? If he's been good, you give him a toffee. Not good, you say to you sometimes not even worth saying anything to the child. If you do, you just say to the child, oh, you try next time, you'll be good. As a child gets older, a certificate of primary school, that's already something. You can get a nice prize from the teacher, from the school, from the parents. In high school, if a person doesn't graduate high school, like a certificate that you've graduated high school. Some people spend their whole lives upset they never got a graduation. A graduation certificate is worth very lot. And the GCSE and A levels, there are different levels of certification. A person gets a certificate from the Queen saying that they've done something noble for their country, and the person would consider that to be very, very, very precious. If you get a Nobel Peace Prize, right? Imagine you get a certificate, so you get, I think, with a nice big sum of money. The idea being that there are different levels of certification, the lowest to the highest. The Novi is the highest level of certification a person there is. Forevermore, we are going to be learning Novi and Torah. So having the Novi say about Shlomo Melech, Vayasora b'nei Hashem, that's infinitely greater than the greatest certificate a person can get in this world. And the Torah says about him something negative. Can you imagine what a negative consequence that can have on a person? And if it says something positive, how much greater it is. And the Simchas Yisrael finishes off that the Medrash tells us that every time a person does a mitzvah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu writes it down. Sorry, Yomi Novi writes it down, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu signs it, and he creates a new book of merit in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And to give us an idea, he says you have to think what it means to be written in the book of merit of Hashem. You know, there's some people who will tell you how many people got the Victoria Cross. That's quite a high medal. So that's nothing compared to be written in the book of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every time a person does a mitzvah, he's getting a certificate from the highest level there is. It's important, Marshall, to think. More Kaiser. The time when Shlomo Melech married the daughter of Paro, she brought him 1,000 kinds of music. And she said to him, he didn't protest. Again, Michtav Eliyahu describes that Shlomo Melech wanted that the whole world should be dominated with the fear of Hashem. And therefore he married a woman from every single Avodah Zarah and from every single country, in order that that way they should be under his jurisdiction. He should know what's happening in every country. You think about it, he had 1,000 wives. If you think about that, 7,000 Sheva Brachas. I've ever heard somebody speaking about this, a great Baal Muslim. He said nobody in the right mind would want to go through 7,000 Sheva Brachas. That's torture. So obviously he didn't do this because Stan. He did it because he wanted to dominate the world. And Bas Paro demonstrated to him all the different kinds of Avodah Zarah, but the fact is he should have stopped it. Gavir went down, but not Kona B'yom. He put a stick in the sea. If you put a very big stick in the sea, so the sandbanks and dirt get accumulated around it. When Shlomo Melech married the daughter of Paro, a stick was put in the sea, and that made the bank, the ground, which eventually would be the Roman Empire, which eventually destroyed the Beis Hamikdash which Shlomo Melech built.
Wasn't Gabriel the Malach of the Eden, of Yisrael?
Yeah, but it was an oynish for Klal Yisrael. They deserved that. That's a small hut was built. And that's Italy, because Rome is in Italy. And then before I explain, Rashi really talks about this, that used to be Italy was under the power of Greece. That's why it's called Italia Shel Yovam. Eventually the Romans conquered Greece, and then Italy became part of the Empire of Rome. He only is a big mistake. You can't say Yeshua did an Avir. And there's a passage that we read, and unfortunately, this year we never heard it. I didn't hear it anyway. It's the Haftarah on Pesach, which this year I read the Haftarah myself, but I never got to hear it in shul. And every year when I hear this Haftarah, it's unbelievable Haftarah. The pasuk says like this about Yeshua Melech. Yeshua Melech was only 8 years old when he became king. Can you imagine being 8 years old? And he was a very, very, very great tzaddik. And the pasuk says about him, there was nobody like him, a king, that he returned to Hashem with all his heart, with all his finance. Like Moshe, when you said, nobody ever before or after Yeshua Melech became a king like Yeshua Melech. Does anybody know what happened to Yeshua Melech, by the way? Do you know what happened to Yeshua?
He got some 50 arrows in him.
300 hours, very good. 300 hours. The greatest.
He tried to stop them stream going through his land.
300 hours through him. Why?
He's tried to stop Mitzrayim going through his land.
And what did he say when that happened? Tzaddik hu Hashem k'fiyu morisi. They did a tiny. Anyway, getting off the point as usual. The pasuk says about it that he returned to Hashem. The word returning to Hashem seems to say that he did an avir. So the Gemara says no, he never did any avirs. Oh, why does it say? The pasuk says that he returned to Hashem. So it seems to be saying that he did an avir. What happened was like this. He, at the age of 18, decided that all the justice that had been, he was a king ready for 10 years. By the age of 8, he was king. From 8 to 18, he was king. So for 10 years, the king in those days was one in charge of all major financial issues. So therefore, at the age of 18, he decided that maybe my knowledge was not complete in all the justice that I meted out over the years. So therefore, he returned all monies that anybody had been forced to pay over the past 10 years, he returned the money. Shemot Tema, you might say, not he took the money which he had paid. Let's say Reuven had been forced to pay to Shimon. Maybe he took the money off Shimon and gave it to Reuven. No. At the age of 18, he repaid from his own pocket all the money that he had made people pay, even when he had judged correctly, because he knew the halachas, in case he hadn't judged correctly. There's one person in our generation. His name was Abba. They were brothers. So one of these two was the greatest Baal Tshuva of the generation of Rav. There's one more. Manu Ukva. Nehemiah Reish Gelusa is called Ukva, the son of Nehemiah, the head of the exile. Ainu Nosen Tzisa. Omar Yosef. Have you seen the Bepilka v'Kamnamnimi? I was sleeping. B'Chazoi b'Chelma. I was seeing my sleep. The Kaposhi Yodavi Kibbe, that Hashem accepted him. And again, I knew there was a Rashi somewhere. I couldn't find it, but luckily this time I looked at Kiv Eger brings it. It's in the Hedron Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Beis. A very, very, very interesting Rashi. The Rashi mentions the story of this Gemara. For some reason, I didn't see in the article, don't bring it. Again, the Sifter don't bring it. But Kiv Eger mentions it. It's a Rashi in Sanhedrin Lamed Aleph Amud Beis. He talks about this Nosen Tzitzisa. I'll tell it to you very, very briefly. It's the most amazing story. The Gemara says there was a person called Nosen. And he saw a woman, and he loved her so much that he wanted to marry her, but she was already married. And he loved her so much that he became ill. And he was dying. And he called in the doctors, and they said the only way you'll get better is if you marry this woman, if you have relations with her. And what happened was the Chacham said, you can't, she's married. And this Nosen Tzitzisa was a very, very wealthy person. This woman was married to a very, very poor man. And what happened was the poor man said to his wife, why don't you go and ask for a loan from this wealthy man, Nosen Tzitzisa? So she said to him, if I go, he'll rape me. You know very well that I can't go because he wants me. So the husband said to his wife, I know why you don't want to go and borrow money from him. Because you also like him and you waited for me to die out of hunger. And then when I die of hunger, you'll marry him because he's a wealthy person. So she was hated by her husband who thought that she wanted him, the other man, and the other man she couldn't have a kid, so she was in a very difficult situation. Eventually, her husband was so hungry. Rashi tells us a story. She went to this person's house, and she said to him, I need money to borrow. So he said he gave her a huge amount of money. And he said to her, look, you're now in my room. There's nobody else in the whole palace. I've got guards. I can do whatever I want. So she said to him, indeed, you can do whatever you want, but you should just know that some people wait their entire lifetime to do something for Hashem. And you hold in your hand the opportunity to serve Hashem in the highest level. And the words made a deep impression on her, and he let her go. And she came home with a huge sum of money. And what did the husband say to her? I know why he gave you the money, because you slept with him. And therefore he gave you the money, and he refused to be with her anymore. Because he was choshed, and there was no way to prove what had happened. She told him that it's not true, he did tshuva, and he stopped thinking about me. And the husband refused to believe it. And what happened was, one day, this Nosen Tzitzisa was walking in the street, and an Amora, as far as I remember, was of Ami, but I may be wrong. You can look in Rashi there, it's an Hedron Amud Aleph Amud Beis. Saw him, and he said, I can see the light of Gan Eden shining on your face. Why is it? So he told him the story, and he said that in that moment, when you chose not to be with her, HaKadosh Baruch Hu already put you in Gan Eden, and your neshama is already in Gan Eden. And he told the husband, afterwards he spread the news, he told the husband, you could be with your wife, you should know that she was never mezana on you. And that's why he was called Nosen Tzitzisa. The word Tzitzisa comes from the word of the spark, because he had the spark of the light of Gan Eden shining on his face. And he eventually became Reish Gelusa. Can you imagine such a thing? He was the head of the whole of Klal Yisrael. I find the story a very it's interessant in my son. So look it up. It's interesting. I'm surprised that this Gemara, this is the Gemara. Rashi is talking about this Gemara. I didn't see people bring it. But if you look at the Gilin Hashas, if you've got Gilin Hashas, some Tosos, he says, Ein Sanhedrin, I found the Rashi, the Zivle Kavat Tzitzisa. That's the Rashi. If you look it up, you can see all of it. We'll be zeicher to finish another parak. All the halachas about animals. Next week in Mitzvah, we're only starting on Sunday, which is a bit late. We're going to start a whole new parak, a new topic. Mazel tov on the new parak. Now you have to get some. I just have to get the cholent or cook or whatever you've got.
Are we up to date?
No. Well, we are a bit. The problem is there's no Shiur, no Friday, no Shabbos. It means by Sunday we'll be a daf behind. But
Okay.
it's not thing. I'm going to now. Moishi. I'm putting the recording on pause because there's no reason to record this forevermore on YouTube. The recording is going to be on pause, but the